everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah, for those of you who don't know. So, I said in my last video that I would come back with a review for Thanks for Last Night, the anthology with, I'm going to butcher her last name, Langlais, Millie Taiden, and Kate Baxter. So, with this book, so the first book in this anthology is Bearing His Sins by Langlais. Now, that one was actually my favorite out of all three books in here. This is definitely a mature book, so if, you shouldn't be reading about certain things, you probably should not read this book. But if you're an adult and these are the type of books that you like, that are a little steamy, then go for it. This is your book. So for Bearing His Sins, I actually rate that one 8 out of 10 because it was actually my favorite. It had a really good storyline, and there was actually a twist at the end, which was pretty cool. My favorite character out of the entire book was Anya's grandmother, who was hilarious. That grandmother, I think, really helped make the story. I think without her, the story wouldn't have been as good, because she was kind of quirky, and she's like, some of the things she say, they were just hilarious. But it was a pretty typical story, though. All of these stories are pretty typical for, like, like the shapeshifter, werewolf, whatever genre of books. So not bad. It was actually my favorite. Bought by the Bear by Millie Taiden, which was the second book in here. I rated that one a 7 out of 10. And the reason I even rated it a 7 was because at a couple points I was a little on the edge of my seat. But other than that, it kind of felt like a Wattpad story. Because like it says here, like for the back, the generalization of the book, it says Jocelyn Martinez just needed the money to help raise her nephew. That's it. There's no other reason she would take a job posing as a shifter's mate so he can assure his grandmother he's settled down. And there's definitely no good reason she should get involved with the hard, hot, and handsome shifter who's hired her. Xander just needs a fake mate for a week, but what's a bear shifter to do when the imposter mate he hired turns out to be his actual mate? I've read, like, I used to read, be on Wattpad a lot. I used to read stories, and, I'd read a few werewolf stories, and this just kind of felt like a Wattpad story, and I was like, if I wanted to read that kind of a story, I would have gone on Wattpad, but, I'm reading a book, so I kind of wasn't really too excited about the book, but because I was on the edge of my seat a couple of times, I did decide to just rate it a 7 out of 10. Now, the last book in there, not a huge fan. I did rate it a 5 out of 10, though, only because the beginning storyline was actually really good, leading up into, like, how everything should go, but then, like, halfway through this story, just bam, it got rushed. It got crazy. I wasn't a huge fan of it, and, like, I've actually read a book that has a similar storyline to this one. And I read that a while ago, but, like, I kind of remembered the storyline because I was, like, reading it, and I was like, I feel like I've read this before, but I know I don't own any Kate Baxter books. So it just felt like something I've read before. It was very familiar. It was kind of, to me, kind of unoriginal. Like, there was a few things that, are obviously changed as authors do with their books, but it was kind of the same as when I'd previously read. But this one was more rushed, whereas the other one I had read before was not. That one was actually just a full book, not part, like, in an anthology. It was a full book, wasn't rushed, everything took its time. It was actually a really good book. I do not remember what it was, though. I'd know it if I could find it, but I have too many books. It would take me forever to find that book. But overall, the entire book, I went on Wattpad, and I rated it, I think, a 3 or 4 star. Let me see here. I gave it 4 stars. because of that first book, Bearing His Sins. That one was my absolute favorite. Um, so, I mean, like, if this is something you're interested in, it's definitely not a bad read. It is kind of a quick read. It did take me a couple days to read, though, because of work. Um, but yeah, if you're into this kind of a book, go for it. Take a read. Um, Definitely the first one, I think, it's my favorite. It's the best one out of the three. I have read some of her books before, but, once? I don't remember. But, it is a good one. So, that's my review. It's a quick one. I'm not going to be one of those people that spends like 15 minutes like really dissecting the book. I'm just going to tell you guys like what I like about it, what I don't like, just kind of trying to keep it simple, trying to keep the reviews of the books at least 5 minutes. And then for like the last minute or so, I'm going to go over kind of talk about the next book that I'm going to be reading. So that's it for this book. The next book I am reading, I haven't started it yet. I just have my bookmark in on chapter 1. Is Forget You Know Me by, my bookmark's coming out, by Jessica Strasser. Now, this book is, it says on the back, when a video call between friends captures a shocking incident no one was supposed to see, the secrets it exposes threaten to change their lives forever. It says, Molly and Liza have always been enviably close. I'm so sorry. I can't talk today. Even after Molly married Daniel, the couple considered Liza an honorary family member. But after Liza moved away, things grew more strained than anyone wanted to admit, in the friendship and in the marriage. When Daniel goes away on business, Molly and Liza plan to reconnect with a nice long video chat after the kids are in bed. But then Molly runs upstairs to check on a crying child, leaving the webcam running in her empty living room. What Liza sees next will change everything, because Molly's mistakes aren't just catching up with her, they're linked to Liza and Daniel in ways that none of them can know. So, it's kind of like a little bit of a thriller, I think. I don't really know. I'm starting to branch into thrillers because normally my genre of books are usually like romance, like the paranormal romances, like the vampires, werewolves, stuff like that, and also historical romances like, Outlander and stuff like that. So that's usually where my like reading genre is, and I do read some fantasy books as well. I'm very, very picky with those. But so I'm trying to branch out into thriller because I've found on I don't remember what website I was buying these off of, but because I haven't bought off it in a little bit now, because I've had these on my bookshelf waiting to be read, which my to be read list is extremely long. But there was some thriller books that I saw that just seemed really interesting, so I decided, I'll get a couple, see how I like it. A friend of mine does like, who's also a huge bookworm like myself. She likes thrillers and like sci-fis and stuff. So I had actually sent her like pictures of like screenshots of like the cover of the book and the back of it and stuff like that. Well, not screenshots, I took the pictures, but I also sent her screenshots on Goodreads of what the ratings were and comments were and stuff like that, because she's like me, gotta research the book before you buy it. And she said like a few of them sounded like really interesting and ones that she was going to put on her list of books to buy. But she said that she's not going to buy them until she hears back from me on how the book actually was. So, yeah, so I'll be reading this one. It might take me a few days to get to it, to read it, and finish it because of work. I am going to try to do some reading tomorrow because I do have the day off. But yeah, so stay tuned. Sometime this week there will be a review on this book. Alright, everyone, have a good night and stay safe out there. Bye!